إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله الله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون وإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وإن خير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. All praise and thanks be to Allah for guiding us to this. If it isn't for Allah, we would not have been guided. Allah is our guide and He is the one who gives us everything that we have, and He's the one who protects us, and He's the one who directs us to those things that are best for us. When we look at the times that we are in, we surely need guidance on how to lead our lives, and guidance on how to determine things and how to choose. And the Quran gave us many examples of situations and circumstances and events to show us that in hard times and when events are driving us, how do we open our eyes and we keep our eyes open so that we make right choices? And the story of Musa and Fir'aun gives us ample direction and projects for us those dark times that Musa had to face when he was facing off Fir'aun. And Fir'aun is the symbol of any authoritarian force that wants to control things not for the better of people or the betterment of people, but more for his own. And so when we see the ayat in Surah Al-Isra, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا مُوسَى تِسْعَ آيَاتٍ بَيِّنَاتٍ, and indeed we have given Musa 9 clear signs. وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا مُوسَى تِسْعَ آيَاتٍ بَيِّنَاتٍ فَاسْأَلْ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل, ask the people of the Israelites. فَاسْأَلْ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل, the children of Yaqub, meaning the Israelites, ask them about that. فَاسْأَلْ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل إِذْ جَاءَهُمْ, when Musa came to them. فَقَالَ لَهُ فِرْعَوْنَ, so Fir'aun then pointed out towards him. فَقَالَ لَهُ يَا فِرْعَوْنَ إِنِّي لَأَظُنُّكَ يَا مُوسَى مَسْحُورًا, for that I think indeed clearly and I see, O Musa, you are under the influence of sorcery, mashur, so you are bewitched. And the interesting thing here is that Fir'aun has switched his accusations about Musa, and we'll come to that in a minute. And then Musa responds to him. He says, قَالَ لَقَدْ عَلِمْتَ, for sure you have come to know, مَا أَنزَلَ هَؤُلَاءِ إِلَّا رَبُّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, for that the one who sent down those signs, the 9 signs, no one else has sent them except the Lord of the heavens and the earth. Why was he talking about the Lord of the heavens and the earth? Because those 9 signs are the signs that I mentioned about how Allah has sent environmental changes. And it started with Al-Tufan, the flood. And then Al-Jarad, the locust that came and ate all the harvest. Wal-Qummal, and the lice that appeared, insects, infestation. Wal-Dafadi', and the frogs that were everywhere. Wal-Dama, Dam here, the color of the water changed to red, which is basically a contamination done by certain bacteria in the water. And so these environmental monumental changes were brought upon by God. So Musa is telling him, you have come to know with clear terms, ما أنزل هؤلاء, no one has sent these down, إلا رب السماوات والأرض. So you know that this is not my doing, that this is something from up above. وإني لأظنك يا فرعون مثبورا. And I see you clearly, O Pharaoh, that you're coming close to being ruined, or you're going to the road of ruin. Now, why did Musa say this? Is because Musa has come to the realization that after God has sent these signs, and those signs were attached to what we talked about in Surah Al-Zukhruf. And in Surah Al-Zukhruf, the title of the surah is the ornaments or the decorations. This is like when you sometimes make something and you add these accentations to it. You add those little pieces that sparkle and shine. And what you mean by doing this to the dress or to the whatever you are making, whether it's a pot or some kind of a dress or a hat, is because you want to accent, to give it a sparkly look, because you want to project, you could say, an image that makes it classy. So Surah Al-Zukhruf is talking about how people go after these ornaments to look classy. And in the discussion wherein Allah is talking about Musa and Fir'aun in Surah Al-Zukhruf, it comes towards the end of the surah almost. And this is mentioned in Surah Al-Zukhruf because Fir'aun is all about the show. It's all about how he's going to look. And that is why I mentioned before that Fir'aun, when he addressed his people, وَنَادَى فِرْعَوْنُ فِي قَوْمِهِ, when Fir'aun rallied his people, campaigning them, telling them, أَلَيْسَ لِي مُلْكُ مِصْرٍ, am I not the one who is in charge today? وَهَذِهِ الْأَنْهَارُ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِي أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ, and these are the rivers that are flowing from underneath me, don't you see? And so this is what he came out with. And in the verses that I mentioned, when Musa told him, لَقَدْ عَلِمْتَ مَا أَنزَلَ هَؤُلَاءِ إِلَّا رَبُّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ بَصَائِرَ, the one who sent these signs is the Lord of the heavens and earth. Basair, these are eye openers, so that you can see them. Basair, that means it opens your eyes up. So Allah sent these signs to draw people's eyes out to see that the situation is not in the hands of Fir'aun. So in Surah Al-Zukhruf, when Fir'aun did this campaign, you see the Quran before saying, وَمَا نُرِيهِمْ مِنْ آيَةٍ إِلَّا هِيَ أَكْبَرُ أُخْتِهَا مِنْ أُخْتِهَا, and whatever sign we bring forth towards them is surely bigger than the one before it. إِلَّا هِيَ أَكْبَرُ مِنْ أُخْتِهَا وَأَخَذْنَاهُمْ بِالْعَذَابِ, and we put them through punishment لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ, so that they back off from their stand. وَقَالُوا يَا أَيُّهَا السَّاحِرُ, and then they called out, this is the rest of the surah, يَا أَيُّهَا السَّاحِرُ, O you sorcerer, أُدْعُ لَنَا رَبَّكَ بِمَا عَهِدَ عِنْدَكَ إِنَّنَا لَمُهْتَدُونَ, call on your Lord, O sorcerer, for whatever of assurances he has given you. That means the matter is in your hand. You call on God, on your Lord. إِنَّنَا لَمُهْتَدُونَ, for sure we have come to conviction. We are on the right track. That means we hear you. We got it. Okay? That means call on your Lord to stop it. Stop this cosmic situation that's going on. This disaster that hit the country. فَلَمَّا كَشَفْنَا عَنْهُمُ الْعَذَابِ إِذَا هُمْ يَنْكُثُونَ, so when we retracted the punishment and the torment, that means Allah caused it to go away, then they went back on their word that they are surely following. the interesting thing here that I wanted to point out, notice how they said, Ya ayyuha sahir, O you sorcerer. But then in Surah Al-Isra, we see that Musa, Fir'aun is telling Musa, وَإِنِّي لَأَظُنُّكَ يَا مُوسَى مَسْحُورًا, for that I have come to see you clearly, Musa, that you are under the influence of a sihr. Remember that this came, those statements of I think that you are under sorcery, is after the signs have come through, and they called on him, addressing him as he is the sorcerer, so call on God or your Lord. After he campaigned these people, he shifted the argument. He's no longer saying Musa is a sahir. He wants to weaken him. And he is projecting him as somebody who is now under the influence of outside forces from outside. See, before, Fir'aun came up with the theory first to rally people that Musa is trying to take him down. So it's an inside job from within Egypt. It is something where he wants to knock Fir'aun out of the reign of power. And so when Musa first presented his sign to Fir'aun, Fir'aun said, these are two sorcerers, meaning Fir'aun, Musa and Harun. They have a plot in their head, and they want to take away, يريدان أن يخرجاكم من أرضكم بسحرهما. They wanna cause you to leave your land eventually with their sorcery. ويذهبا, and they're gonna take away بطريقتكم المثلى. They want to destroy your wonderful way of life. Al-Musla, the ideal way of life, meaning the life of civilization that Egypt has enjoyed. Why? Because everybody looked up to Egypt at the time, that it is the land of opportunity, the land of civilization, the land of advances, the land, everybody wants to come to Egypt. وَيَذْهَبَا بِطَرِيقَتِكُمُ الْمُثْلَى, and they want to take away your wonderful way of life, the Egyptian life. This is the life that everybody aspires to be part of. Now in these verses you see that Fir'aun is advancing the idea that these are sorcerers. And not only this, but later when he executed the sorcerers that he brought in to face Musa, because they finally gave in to Musa's signs, what did he say to them? إِنَّهُ لَكَبِيرُكُمُ الَّذِي عَلَّمَكُمُ السِّحْرَ. He is not only a sorcerer, no, he is the grand sorcerer that has taught you. He has the mastery of a sihr in his hands, and he taught you this. So you've been all together in this conspiracy to take me down. So I'll show you. So initially, this is what he went with. But then after the 9 signs that already has happened, his position among his people have become weak. This is wherein he started now addressing his people and rallying them up. One of the things that he's used after this, after addressing people, with the fact that why doesn't Musa look like the guy that can play the role, is why isn't he not anointed and dressed up with gold to show his status in society? Or that he is hiding in the basement where you don't hear of him too much. He doesn't speak clearly about what he really wants. Okay, not like Fir'aun. And after this address, in Surah Ghafir, these are all different pieces about Musa and Fir'aun, but when you put them together, you begin to see how Fir'aun led the campaign against Musa. وقال فرعون, and Fir'aun said, ذروني أقتل موسى, let me kill him. The only solution after these 9 signs that came in, he brought cosmic stuff. Okay, so the only way for me to deal with him is let me kill him, let me take him out. وقال موسى ذروني وقال فرعون ذروني أقتل موسى وليدعو ربه and let him go call on his Lord. You know, he keeps on doing this. That's why he brought this havoc on us. So you know what? I don't care. He can go call on his Lord. ذروني أقتل موسى. The only solution to face this down is to actually just let me try and kill him. Sure, he wants to call on his Lord. Let him call on his Lord. We have no alternative. Why? Now, Fir'aun advances the idea of fear. He injects fear into the masses. And this is how he controls the masses, is by making you afraid or by scaring you into backing him up. إني أخاف أن يبدل دينكم. I am afraid that he's going to change your deen for you, your faith. Now Fir'aun seems to be caring a lot about the deen of people, their religion. He's afraid Musa is going to change it. So he has to guard the deen. This is a scare tactics. إني أخاف أن يبدل دينكم أو أن يظهر في الأرض الفساد, or that he will cause much havoc in the land. And we mean by havoc here is disorder, chaos, anarchy, no safety, no security. He will take away your security. So it's either this or this, and it can be both. He's going to take away your deen and take away your safety and your security and your stability. So I have no other option but to take Musa down. This is the scare tactic that Fir'aun put out there so that people would bite into what he's going to do next. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العلي العظيم لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحابته أجمعين. رضينا بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا ورسولا. أصبحنا على فطرة الإسلام وكلمة الإخلاص وعلى دين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى ملة أبينا إبراهيم حنيفا مسلما وما كان من المشركين. The tactics of fear is a very powerful tactic that is used by people who want to dominate and to control others. They will spew fear tactics to scare you into one thing or the other, to choose one way or the other. Either you choose me or you're going to be ruined. This scare tactic is trying to convince people to go one way, like almost like a herd mentality, herd you into a direction. Now surely both parties in this country do use scare tactics, and they do project our mind to see what the scary things are. But the difference between one or the other is that one uses real, factual things that are happening on the ground to open our eyes to what would yet come that we should be afraid of where we're heading based on what's happening already realistically on the ground, while the other ignores the reality on the ground and manufactures myth, lies, makes up stuff, and wants you to believe it. He wants to change the picture that you see. One party tries to tell us, look, we have 180,000 people dead already. We have so many people that are infected. We are the strongest country in the world, the most educated, the most powerful in our scientific advances, but yet we cannot contain the coronavirus. And if we continue down this path, we surely are going to get ruined. The economy is not doing good. There are 40 million people that are on the roll to be evicted out of their homes. More people have lost their jobs and filed for unemployment. We can't send our kids to school because we have not contained the virus. And these are the realities on the ground. Everybody can see that. The other side wants to tell us the economy is doing wonderful. Look at the stock market. Don't look at the unemployment. Don't look at the fact that people lost their jobs. Ignore all these facts. But I want you to listen to what is going to happen if you elect the other side. If you elect the other side, one of the things that's going to happen is the other side is against God. They want to hurt God. They want to hurt the Bible. I'm appealing to the fact that, hey, these are out there, they have an agenda to take away your deen, take away your faith. They don't want you to go to church. That's why they're closing down the churches, because they don't want to advance the cause of the Gospels. They don't want Christianity to prosper. So be careful. This is what's going to happen. That's why they don't want you to go to church. It makes me think, as a Muslim, if this is real, and this is true, that means basically they don't want me to go to the mosque either, to the masjid. And so they don't want me to advance the cause of Islam and Muslims. So, but he's only talking about really the gospel. He's not talking about Muslims. He's talking about Christians. And then he tells you, don't elect the other side, because you know what? They're going to take away your guns. The means by which you're going to protect yourself. Remember the 5 G's that I mentioned before? God, guns, gates, get off my property, and go back home where you came from. These are the 5 G's. He tells you they're going to take away your guns. You're not going to be able to protect yourself. And you know what? Also, you have to be afraid, because your security is being attacked. Gates. He wants people that are in the suburban areas, especially women, to be afraid of the fact that if chaos continues in America, then eventually you're not going to be safe. He wants you to understand that the other opponent is going to cause chaos in the land. Those protests that are happening are bringing chaos, they're bringing disorder, they're bringing looting, they are making the streets of America less secure. And you have to elect this president because he's going to make you more secure. Remember, he's going to change your deen, and he's going to cause your streets and your environment and your how you live, he's going to bring it to ruin. Scare tactics. Those same scare tactics were started out when he first came into the presidency, and the Muslims were the first scapegoats when he banned Muslims from entering this country, because Islam cannot be trusted, and Muslims cannot be trusted, and Islam hates us. That was what was pushed out there, and he didn't want anybody from these Muslim countries to be let in via immigration or not. They're not coming in. Ironically, when he swore in 5 people at the White House to show in his Republican campaign, 3 out of those were from Muslim countries, and the 4th one was from an African country, or 2 of them from African countries. These are the same countries that he one time remarked about, that he didn't want people migrating to this country from 4-letter word whole countries. And I won't mention it here, but go back and look at it. But these are the same type of people that he inaugurated into the citizenship with his address, but he could use them as a show to show the fact that he accepts people that are not, that are from outside. The scare tactic continued after Muslims about Mexicans. You know, the brown menace that's going to come and steal your jobs, and MS-13 that's going to, they're coming after your money and your woman. Same scare tactic to rally specific segment of the country behind him based on these scare tactics. The last, and I will end with it, is he is talking about the fact of why he doesn't want to shut down the country to contain the virus. His rationale is that if he shuts down the country, it's going to be a painful thing. It is going to be unthinkable. It's going to be having a lasting harm on Americans. I mean, just imagine the increase in drug use because people are at home, the increase in alcoholism because they're at home, depression, and he lists heart attacks, and he lists on a bunch of reasons of why we cannot shut down the country to contain the virus is because in the end, you're going to suffer a lot more. So the only way is to actually look the virus in the eye and look the coronavirus in the eye and speak to him like a cowboy, stare him down, stare that virus down, and tell him, no, you're not taking me down. I still gonna go out there, and I'm gonna continue to do things as it may be, and it doesn't matter. As if the president is telling Americans that he doesn't trust the population because the population is hooked on alcohol, drugs, have psychological problems, and that's what's going to happen. And so it's better for us to go die outside than to eventually die inside. This is the rationale that we're being sold. Scare tactics. I hope that with these words, we're able to see the truth as truth and falsehood as falsehood. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم احفظنا من بين أيدينا ومن خلفنا وعن أيماننا وعن شمائلنا ومن فوقنا ونعوذ بعظمتك أن نغتال من تحتنا. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا. اللهم اغفر لنا من عندك مغفرة إنك أنت الغفور الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد في الأولين والآخرين.